All right, guys, we got a new video here by Rev Says Desu. My computer died. If you're wondering why I look like this, it's because my computer died. All right, here we go.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the pretty messy situation involving the popular indie VTuber Deme, who found herself facing a lot of criticism thanks to a post she made where she was attempting to set boundaries regarding artwork made of her VTuber model. However, her response to said criticism has really...
The artwork made of her VTuber model? Like, you can't make certain art of my... Dude, that's impossible to police. That's like such a waste of time to try to police that.
Shown her true colors, many people thinking she is a mean girl who is rubbing the lowest moment of someone's life in their face instead of addressing criticism, while doing so very hypocritically, where in past situations she has condemned such behavior and even asked for grace when she found herself in a low moment as well. All of this stems from this post she made yesterday talking about how she's extremely uncomfortable with not safe for work art made of her VTuber model. Now, the hypocrisy people are attempting to point out is the fact that literally the next post was her reposting very suggestive art of her VTuber model, and really she has a history of doing that, but that's a very small portion of this video. What I'm focusing on most is her response to the attempted criticism, where Chibi Reviews, for example, is met with this post from Deme, where she's mocking the fact that his fiance cheated on him, while she laughs about the scenario, the lowest moment.
Wait, oh my god, aren't you the guy whose fiance literally cheated on you and your whole friend group sided with her? Of
that guy's life, which is not just a heinous response.
That doesn't mean that it's not really an indicator, to be honest. It's not an indicator of, there's a lot of reasons that people would do that. It doesn't necessarily mean that.
In a very shallow one for criticism.
It doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that you did, basically.
It brings up her history of dealing with related subjects where she has condemned such behavior and also asked for grace in her own life when she was facing low moments, especially when it comes to her own relationships. For example, when her current boyfriend physically and emotionally abused her and even slashed her with a knife, and she has condemned people bringing this up.
Is her boyfriend an immigrant?
Her lowest moment in her life, but I guess when it comes to people criticizing her
from the refugee country.
So let's get into the post itself that started all this. She said, "Hey, just a reminder, I'm extremely uncomfortable with not safe for work art of me," in quotes. "But why did you make your VTuber look like that?" End quote. "Just cause I like sexy stuff doesn't mean I want to see full-blown adult content of it. In quotes, it's just a VTuber," end quote. "Who do you think of when you see it?" So a lot of people are pointing out that she has a history of consistently reposting artwork of her model in very suggestive situations, and they think this line she's trying to draw is a confusing one or possibly a hypocritical one. This is some of the responses saying, feels uncomfortable with not safe for work art of herself, reposts not safe for work art.
Nice.
And this is literally the next post she made.
You know what the problem is with you know what problem I realized about VTubers chat? The problem, well, it's not even just VTubers, it's also people and like their beliefs and stuff, right? It's like, I don't know if they actually believe anything that they say. And the reason why is because they seem to like hold certain beliefs, and then when challenged, like it's very obvious that they don't actually believe it, or their actions show otherwise, right? I'll give you, I mean, like, just, I can only really speak for myself on this one, but like, I've said it before that I don't care if people make 18 plus NSFW content of like any of our characters and stuff. I don't really care. Like, I'm probably not gonna repost it just because I don't really want to repost it, because it's not the content I want to like put, you know, foot forward, right? But if people do it, I don't care, right? And because I say that, because it's what I actually believe, then I can't get called out for anything like that. Like, I'm like, Like if I want to talk about Kuro Inu or something, I can talk about it because I don't actually hold those beliefs that people shouldn't be able to do that. So that's basically what I'm saying. And as long as like you're consistent in your beliefs, I don't think people care really. As long as you're grounded in like what you actually believe in, right?
After claiming she was so uncomfortable with not safe for work art, where this particular art piece, you can see pretty much all of her chest and other parts of her body. It's very suggestive, but of course people are going to debate about whether or not that is full-blown adult content, as she was referring to, and I guess this is the very normal response.
Also, like, for some reason, like, people have forgotten about this forbidden tech, and I don't know, is this old technology that only the old guard of the internet understands? So like people that have been around on the internet before, like, I don't know, like 10 years ago or something. I don't know. Like I've been online basically my whole life. Did everyone forget this forbidden ancient technique from the past? It's so what you do is I'm gonna share it with you guys. I'm gonna share you the biggest fucking tech, all right? The biggest cultural technology. You ready? You see a post you don't like, you block it. That's it. Yeah, I mean, just block it, right?
People making edits of the previous poster and gunning them down because apparently trying to have a conversation about this sort of boundary setting is met with
you block it.
Violent.
No, I don't have a problem with blocking people, to be honest. I have a problem with blocking people. The only time I have a problem with blocking people is when like you're trying to say that they're wrong about something and then you don't let them defend themselves back. If you're just blocking people because you just don't like their stuff, that's totally fine. I have a problem with that.
Hostility, but people are pointing out overall that she has a history.
You shouldn't let yourself be hostage to people that you don't want to deal with, to be honest. But then it has to be like you actually have to not deal with them, right? You have to actually be like, you know what? I don't want to engage with this content. You just block it, right? But like to go after them and be like, you're a fucking bitch and you're stupid, and then block them like right after so that they can't say anything back, that's a bitch. That's what we call a bitch move, you know?
Of posting very suggestive artwork and sharing it, of not just her VTuber model, but also posting herself in similar sorts of ways. And you can see other quotes like this saying this would hold more water if you weren't consistently retweeting softcore adult content. And really just looking at her model itself, obviously it is quite revealing. It's just a very messy situation. I'm not here harping on this sort of standard she's setting. It's okay to set boundaries, but in this case, it's pretty messy. But where I do feel very compelled to talk about all this is where Chibi Reviews, the YouTuber, would reply, where he would raise the same sort of criticism, saying, the level of virtue signaling has stun-locked me. Look at the repost, referring to the same repost that the other user had shared. And this was her response, not clarifying anything, not combating the point being made here. Instead, taking a shot at his lowest moment, saying, wait, OMG, aren't you the guy whose fiance literally cheated on you and your whole friend group sided with her? LMFAO. So she brings up the fact that this guy got cheated on. Yeah, they're all horrible people. Obviously, the people who did this in the friend group, all that, horrible people.
Yeah.
Why is that funny? How is that even a response? It's not even acknowledging the criticism whatsoever. You're just dunking on a guy with his lowest moment and then laughing at it.
I mean, it's pretty classic. It's pretty classic when you don't have an argument, you go for ad hom. You see it all the time. Like these, I don't go so far as to say it's only leftists. I feel like people on the right do it too. But it's when they don't have an argument, like they're stuck. Like they try to argue with you. Their logic sucks. Their argument falls apart. And so, or they don't even have a response in the first place. They just immediately go for ad hom. Every single time.
Oh, really did not appreciate this, but for those who don't know, a few months ago, Chibi Reviews shared a personal event in his life where his fiance cheated on him with one of his close friends in the friend group, chose the friend over him, and he almost drank himself to death in response, and it was surely either the lowest or one of the lowest moments of his life. But that's now being rubbed in his face when he dared to criticize someone's post, right? And you can see people saying Western VTubers try not to be terrible people for 5 seconds challenge. Impossible. And it seems to happen over and over again, especially with the popular female indie VTubers, where it's like eventually they have this mean girl behavior. And whether or not you want to consider this new for Deme, I don't really know. But this is a really mask off moment, right? People are looking at this with a lot of disdain. They think this is an incredibly low blow, but it goes way beyond that. She is
Western
very hypocritical
VTubers
on all these related
Western VTubers not be terrible people for 5 seconds challenge impossible.
subjects where she has talked about cheating before. In fact, in a recent video from only a few months ago, she was talking about a big cheating scandal in the Japanese streaming scene, and this was her response to people hyping up the guy who was the cheater.
This is a clip from that stream. Look at
all the men cheering for him. No! Are you dead ass?
all the gifted subs he was getting.
So here she's very angry about
You want to know something, chat? I don't trust anybody that says deadass unironically.
men hyping up the guy who is cheating and making light of the event or even glorifying it. But that's exactly what she's doing with chibi reviews. She is
Yeah, no cap.
elated about this and even laughing about it in her response. So that's a clear level of hypocrisy here. And also people are bringing up that she's always talking about mental health and men's mental health. This person saying, a lot of you say you care about men's mental health and then turn around and do stuff like this. Also, Deme has been a piece of crap for a while. Glad
She
you are
sounds
all
insane.
now.
You know, you say that she sounds insane. I say she sounds like a typical VTuber.
And she is the type to
Sounds
make
about
routine
right to me.
posts talking about Happy Men's Day to my fellow men. And that is something I've talked about in the month of June. June is Men's Health Month, but she's making posts like this and then attacking men for having something horrible happen to them, weaponizing their lowest moment when they're faced with criticism. They don't have any other way of responding. But it's interesting to see how she responds to the misery of chibi reviews, for example, but has a very different level of tolerance and empathy and understanding when it comes to her own life and men in her own life, including her current boyfriend, who she made a big series of call-out posts and called him out on stream, where she claimed that he was physically and mentally abusing her.
How come I never heard of this person before? I've literally never heard of them.
And
I feel like I've been around in the VTuber community. I feel like I know a lot of people.
she would make a response when she briefly left him saying, "I'm free," and goes on saying, "After dealing with the things being broken and thrown, screaming in my ear until it rang, having to scream for help till my voice broke because I didn't want my phone taken from me since I took photos of what happened, being pushed, being verbally assaulted, the constant lying, the bruises from being held too hard. I just want to move on." Here's the very ironic part. The last thing I want is
I need like a classic. I need like a classic emote where I just like whip out a cigarette.
for people to constantly remind me of everything. So in her own situation where she was mistreated, she doesn't want people to constantly remind her of that situation, but she is very, very free to do that to others.
Yeah, I mean this is kind of what I mean, right? Is like they don't actually believe that it's only like for themselves. They don't actually care about how people feel in that regard.
Apparently. But of course, it goes even deeper than that. The same situation Deme would expand upon in a Twitch stream where she would say that, well, she was hurt with a knife, saying, "We were having an argument that went on for too long and he started getting his episodes going on, his anger issues and stuff like that. He grabbed the knife and I was trying to grab it and it effing slashed my leg. And now there's like a 7-inch scar." And the, I guess now current boyfriend confirmed everything that happened, the verbal and physical attacks. And the only thing he would dispute is that he claimed it wasn't a knife, it was a pair of scissors, but as if that makes a really big difference when you apparently leave a 7-inch wound on someone else. But of course, as you can tell, she would eventually get back with him just months later, saying Nikita, the guy in question, and I, a month after canceling him on Twitter. Well, I wouldn't think allegations are really the same as canceling someone, like they're being mean or something. Like, this was pretty serious stuff. But in the replies, she would say, jokes aside, I still to this day get comments everywhere about going back to your abuser. But honestly, I've never been happier and more stable. And she would talk about mental health issues and all these things, but she would end it down here by saying, he took care of me in my lowest. It's nice to know people aren't defined by their lowest moments to the people that matter. So again, she's talking about, it's nice to know you're not defined by your lowest moments, but this is how she responds to criticism about arts of a VTuber model rubbing another person's lowest moment in their face and laughing about it. Very, very hypocritical. But of course, she likes to talk about mental health issues and people not caring about it. She continues on a different post saying, I'm not gonna lie, it's all about mental.
You know why? It's because it's the freest thing it's one of the freest things to be like, I support mental health.
Mental health. Until you actually see someone struggling and suddenly everyone bats an eye. I will never regret getting hurt by trying to save someone from an attempt. If you make fun of it, you're an absolute waste of air. And honestly, you're hurting me more, but I guess that doesn't matter to people. Now keep in mind, a part of Chibi Review's situation was basically drinking himself to death, being very distraught over what happened to him. But of course, that's fair game for her to make fun of. But when she has a similar situation in her life, if you make fun of that or even bring it up, you're an absolute waste of air and you're just hurting her more. She knows exactly what she's doing. She is basically adding insult to injury by bringing this up and rubbing it in his face. Now, of course, there's even more hypocrisy. It really never seems to end. She has talked a lot about the Psychono situation where, in case you're not familiar, a popular streamer was caught being a serial cheater and the girlfriend actually took him back as a result of all this. But this was her response to the related subject.
But holy, what a piece of... The girlfriend is the only person we should feel bad for. I don't know, dude. I feel kind of bad for also the people that he cheated on with because they're coming out with the fact that they're, I don't know. It's a mess.
Well, what we do know is that she feels empathy for people being cheated on in this situation, but doesn't feel any sort of empathy. In fact, weaponizes it when it happens to someone who dares to criticize her on twitter.com. And she also has this attitude of throwing a little shade at the fact that the girlfriend took Psychono back, which is, people draw the levels of irony there. But she's talking about this situation and people were already criticizing back then, well, you should be aware you have personal experience with someone with high XP, because she said that he must have high XP to be able to keep his girlfriend after all of this. And this is yet another post of her situation basically saying, stop mentioning my situation with my ex. And of course, she would get back with him. So yeah, she draws this line where you're not allowed to talk about things going on with me and my relationships. But she feels very open doing it to others. And that's why you have posts like this from Parrot saying, guy's fiance cheats on him with his friend. Friend knows about it and doesn't tell him. Point and laugh at him for it. LMFAO. Your own ex abused you in 2024. Gathering sympathy for your own abuse, but then turning around and making fun of someone else's abuse. You're a hypocrite. And I think that is a very fair...
The only standard is that it's bad when things happen to them, but it's funny when bad things happen to other people. Regardless of whether or not, you want to make a point about them, tell them deserving it or not, you would have to be able to make that case.
Fair set of criticism
that they deserve the double standard.
She would respond to Chibi Reviews, who would say, so you avoid answering why you retweet not safe for work of your avatar despite being upset about it in the post.
It was never principled.
Then you cheer on him cheating. Interesting.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but most people are not principled at all, on anything.
Well, that's the whole thing too, right? Like, she doesn't make it very clear.
And I'm not saying that you'll never make mistakes, right? People make mistakes and stuff. Like, people get drawn into temptation or laziness or anything like that, right? Everybody falls to some kind of sin at some point in their lives, right? But it's like something that you have to look out for.
What she even considers not safe for work, because I think a lot of people would consider what she reposts regularly as not safe for work. I mean, it doesn't have to be completely and utterly 100% fully no clothes involved for something to be not safe for work. But then again, that's not really the crux of the criticism here. It has a lot more to do with her response to said criticism. But she replies saying, "My bad for not wanting to see my model getting pounded," as if that's anything he said. "If people want to keep drawing it, then that's their choice, but I'm just not going to support it. Does it make sense to you now?" And she's referring to a reply she would add on to the original thread where she says, "I just feel like there's so many other content creators who would love to have artists draw them in that way, and it's a wasted effort towards me. But I'd like to make this clear, I'm completely okay with sexy stuff. She just doesn't like full-blown adult content." But of course, you know, Chibi Reviews would say, so you could have answered first like this, but used personal attacks and cheered cheating. Not a good look. And yeah,
damn.
I mean, the fact that that's exactly where she went first is a pretty telling thing about the kind of person she is. You can debate about the standards she is expressing and whether or not she's following through on that stuff.
Yeah,
But
really,
it's
really good
another
counter by
thing to bring
Chibi.
up other people's
I like
terrible
Chibi. Chibi's
low
super nice.
moments while always garnering sympathy for your own low moments and condemning people who would ever bring it up. It's incredibly hypocritical, okay? But the artist who made some of the related stuff that was being reposted would make their own statement where they basically say they didn't know about the standard and they're removing this stuff and they worked it out in private and they're going to keep making these things if they feel like it. But of course, they end it by saying seeing my name on effing Chibi Reviews was the final straw. So I guess they didn't really care until they saw someone they don't like talk about it. It just kind of shows the motivation of people like this involved here. But this entire situation is an absolute mess. And, you know, she went after someone and what
The principle
happened to
doesn't matter.
them
It's all.
and
It's
their
only
former
the only thing that matters is if the target is right.
relationship, and basically
It's always been the
opened
case for
herself
these
up
guys.
to a world of criticism way beyond anything to do with art and what she's reposting, but instead her own standards that she has created for herself and for others
All that matters is
that
winning.
she's not following
Yep.
through the second someone gets under her skin with criticism of one of her posts. But anyways, definitely would want to hear what you guys have to say about this, a very messy situation, so please leave your comments down below. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, consider giving the video a like, consider subscribing and turning on notifications for daily uploads, as well as multiple streams.
I don't even
here live
can
on
like it
YouTube
on
every
like
week. But overall,
a blank
hope you guys
account.
enjoyed the video.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can even like the video on the blank account. But anyway, that was Rev Says Desu.